Económicas y Administrativas y la Tienda Javeriana de la Pontificia Universidad Javeriana les dan la bienvenida a la conferencia Alineación Total, cómo convertir la visión de la empresa en realidad, a cargo del Dr. Riaz Khadem. El Dr. Khadem es el director ejecutivo y presidente de Infotrac, experto en el desarrollo de estrategia, gestión del desempeño, liderazgo y transformación cultural. Estudió en la Universidad de Harvard Ingeniería Informática y una maestría en Ciencias. En la Universidad de Oxford estudió Matemática Aplicada y es doctor en Filosofía. En sus inicios como consultor, asesoró en el diseño de un sistema de información integral para los clientes deben. Es cofundador en 1981 de la empresa Tarkenton Information Systems. En 1984, el Dr. Khadem funda su primera firma Infotrac y desarrolla una empresa de consultoría basado en los conceptos innovadores que desarrolló para la gestión y uso de la información. Incorporó estos conceptos en el libro Administración en una página, publicado con Bob Lorber como coautor. En el año 2002, el Dr. Khadem respondió a la necesidad de un segundo libro en el mercado latino. El libro fue publicado en Latinoamérica bajo el título Alineación Total. El Dr. Khadem ha asesorado a empresas importantes a lo largo del mundo, incluyendo Kodak, Coca-Cola, Versailles, Avery Dennison, General Electric Capital Mortgage, British Home Stores y muchas más. Esta conferencia tiene el servicio de traducción simultánea. Si aún no tiene la diadema, la puede solicitar a la entrada con un documento con foto. Con el fin de evitar interrupciones, les agradecemos apagar o silenciar los celulares. Al final de esta conferencia daremos paso a 5 preguntas. Damos la bienvenida así al Dr. Riaz Khadem.
Buenas noches. ¿Mejor? Demasiado, ¿no? Por favor, I just hit the road. Maybe? Quizás no necesito de esta, ¿no? ¿Ya turn it off? Buenas noches. Estoy muy feliz de estar con ustedes en Colombia, en Bogotá, y hablar con ustedes sobre mi libro Alineación Total. Pero mi español no es suficiente bueno. Entonces hablo en inglés. ¿Está bien? ¿Entienden inglés? ¿No? ¿Con esta? Sí. Okay. Sorry, coughing a little bit. I'm happy to be here, and I'd like to talk to you about total alignment. A methodology, a process, a philosophy, tools. I don't know what to call it, but it's a combination of approaches in order to help any organization to align all the people from the top to the bottom so that together they can accomplish the vision of the organization. So it's a way of turning vision into reality. Now, there are already many companies who are successful at turning their vision into reality. But what we have found is that many companies, even though they can be successful, if they may not be very aligned. And if they are more aligned, then they will be more successful with fewer resources. It's like when you have a car and the car is not aligned. You know, maybe the tires are not so aligned, or the engine is not aligned. You can still go. You can get there. You can be successful. But what happens is that your tires wear out, your engine is not efficient, So I think the ride is not as smooth when you're aligned than when you're not. So we'd like to explain how you can align an organization. If it's successful, it'll be more successful. If it's not successful, it can help you to be successful. And in fact, it can be a competitive advantage in a market that is very competitive and difficult. So how do you do that? How do you align every individual with vision and strategy? In other words, how can you get a large number of people moving in the same direction to accomplish a common goal? How do you do that? Well, you can have leaders who can be very autocratic. A little bit of water. You can have leaders who can be very autocratic and demand performance by people. But if they just say, let's go in this direction, then you can't be sure that people are following. So we have developed some tools and methodologies to do this. First, you need to have a vision that is clear, a vision that is inspiring, and a vision that can help you to rally the people together to move with you. We have found that many companies have mission and vision statements. They put it on the websites. They put it on the walls of the corridors of the company. And that's fine. But the problem is that that's where it stays. Usually, it doesn't become a driving force on a day-to-day basis to help the organization move forward. In fact, if you ask people, what is the vision? What is the purpose? Why are you working here? Many people would not know, and those of them who know may not say the same thing. So you have different interpretations. So the first step in alignment is to have a clear definition of a vision that is shared, that is common, that everybody understands and is unified. So in the book, Total Alignment, I think you may have some copies outside you can get and read. In that book, we explain how you can actually get people to become united around a vision, a very exciting vision. But once you have defined the vision, then you need to measure it, because it has to be clear. Otherwise, some words, there are nice words, but nice words need to be translated into something more concrete. So in the total alignment process, we facilitate to get the company to define indicators, measurement for each concept of the vision. And these are usually called KPIs, key performance indicators. And every company has KPIs, but every company has not aligned the KPIs with the vision. So here what you need to do for alignment is to first define your vision and then see what are the KPIs that will make the vision more clear, more precise. Once you have that, then vision can then be communicated. Because if it's not clear, communication becomes a problem. So we get you to measure your vision in order to communicate, in order to allow that vision to become part of everyday work. Once you have that, then you got to say, okay, how am I going to get to the vision? What do we do? For that, you have existing processes within the company that are producing results, but usually those results are not enough to achieve a vision of next 3 years from now. vision is beyond what you're doing now. So you need strategy in order to create new realities for the company to achieve its vision. And I'm sure you are students of strategy. You've studied probably Michael Porter. You've studied many of the management gurus. Basically, the company needs to analyze how it can get to its vision through competitive strategies, strategy for competition, through growth strategies to decide if they want to grow with the same products in new markets, existing markets, or new products in existing or new markets. So there's a growth strategy, there is competitive strategy, and all of that is to help you to get closer to the vision. So the strategy piece is very important. And in the end, the strategy is converted into strategic initiatives. So every company would need to have some strategic initiatives that they need to do in order to create new processes for the future. So in total alignment, there are really 5 steps. The first step I mentioned is creating a vision. The second step is what we call developing an alignment map. Alignment map is very simple. In the middle, it has the vision. On the left side, it has all the KPIs that measure the vision. On the right side, it has all the strategic initiatives that you need in order to achieve the vision. So, basically, alignment map is very measurable. You have measures of processes on the left side and measures of projects on the right side. 2 sets of measures. So we have simplified this process. So you don't have to have too many things, just one alignment map with measurements of processes and measurements of projects. So when you get your alignment map, then the next step is to see who is responsible for every one of these measurable indicators. Who in the organization? And so we call this accountability. Accountability process is not very good in many companies. And so we recommend changing. Why do I say accountability is not very clear in many companies? It's because too many people are accountable for the same thing. I'll give you an example. If you go to any company and say, who is responsible for sales? Who do you think is going to raise their hand? Sales manager. How about the VP of sales? The general commercial director. Do you think he's going to say me? Yeah. How about the CEO? Is he going to raise his hand? Yeah. So that's too many people. If everyone is accountable for sales, then no one is accountable for sales. Do I make myself clear? So for every indicator, there needs to be one person who is accountable for sales. The other people obviously are helping. The other people are influencing. And they need to do the influence. But accountability rests with one person at the right level in the organization. And this is something new that we see in total alignment. And also in one-page management, we have introduced. And so what we say is that sales, you have to say, okay, dollar amount of sales, who in the organization at the lowest appropriate level can impact this number the most? Who can impact this number the most? And whoever that is, that person is accountable for that number. And in this case, it would be the salesperson, because he is the person who can sell. Right? The manager of sales, if he wants to have more sales, what does he do? He tells the salesperson. Okay? So, manager is not accountable for sales. The salesman is accountable for sales. The manager is accountable for managing the salespeople. And his indicator of success is the percentage of the salespeople who achieve their quota. That's a different measure. It's not the same measure. Percentage of the salespeople who achieve their quota. So the manager of sales is accountable for that. And maybe the manager of sales could be accountable for the profitability of the sale. You see? And maybe the next level up in the organization could be responsible for the market share. You see that different indicators at the different levels. Accountability needs to be assigned to the right levels. Otherwise, it'd be very mixed up. And then nobody is really accountable. So, when you have the alignment map, then the next step is to assign accountability for each indicator to the appropriate person at the appropriate level in the organization. The lower the better. Why do I say the lower the better? Have you heard the word empowerment? Empowerment is when you assign something to someone and say, this is yours. You have power to improve it. What empowerment means, defining accountability to the right person at the lowest level. So you empower that person. You say, this is your indicator. And if you know what it is, if you know how to get it, go ahead and do it. You don't need permission. You're empowered. So this way, you can assign accountability for all the indicators that measure your vision, all the KPIs, to the right levels. How about the right side, which are the strategic initiatives? Well, every one of those need to be assigned to someone, also in the organization. And we say that it should be assigned to the highest appropriate level. It's the reverse. Why? Because a person who's a little bit higher has more scope in order to have this initiative, strategic initiative successful. So you've got this methodology for defining an individual scorecard for each person. ¿Claro? ¿Estamos juntos? All right. Yeah. There's another concept that we put in this book that you don't find anywhere else, and that is the concept of roles. We say every KPI needs really at least 3 roles. There are 3 people in the organization that can impact the indicator. It's not just one person. Who are the 3? One is the person who's accountable, which I just described. The other are people who have indispensable influence on that. Like shared responsibility. They are not the ones who have the most influence, but they are the ones who have also a great deal of influence. And so their role is not to actually achieve the number. Their role is to exert their influence to help the person achieve the number. That's what I'm saying. And then the third is management influence. That is influence through management. And so if you're managing someone who has sales as indicator, then your influence is how you manage, how you help the person, motivate the person in order to achieve his goal. So you really need to have a combination of these roles defined for each person. And so the individual scorecard that comes out of this total alignment process will have a combination of these goals also defined. So it's very clear, very precise, so that if you get one of these scorecards, you will have maybe 4 or 5 indicators, nada más. More would be demasiado. Okay? You don't want more than 5. Maybe 3 to 5 is enough. 5 indicators, and for one of them, you are the one who's actually accountable. Another one, you have indispensable influence on someone else's indicator. Right? Another one, maybe you have management influence. And another one, maybe it's an initiative, and you are driving that initiative. So 5 numbers. So unique. But it's distributed throughout the organization at the right levels. So when these scorecards are different, it's very exciting actually, when you actually go through this process, because there's conversation as to who really owns this factor. And there's discussion, and somebody says, no, it's mine, and he says, no, it's mine, okay. Why is it yours? Why are you the one who has the most influence? And in this conversation, it becomes very clear as to who is accountable for what, and what role the person has. See? Okay. Any questions so far? Sí, muchas preguntas. Por favor, podemos discutir y después sigo. Okay, so far, what do you think? ¿Hay preguntas? Sí, por favor. Sí. No terminado a ese momento.
Entonces dejamos las consultas para el final.
No, solamente preguntas y continúo. Okay. You can say it in Spanish? Okay. I can, because I understand Spanish.
Veo que hay una metodología muy clara y muy potente en la clasificación de los indicadores y roles. Quería su opinión sobre la relación de este modelo con balance scorecard.
Okay. Alan, how many of you know what balance scorecard? Okay. Okay. Balance scorecard is a concept that was introduced by Norton and Kaplan in 1990. It's a process of defining business scorecard. That's different than total alignment in the way that in balanced scorecard, there are indicators that are all consolidated numbers. What do I mean by consolidated numbers? It means the numbers, like the sales numbers, at the next level is the total sales, the next level is the total sales of the area, the next level is the total sales for the company. So you have that kind of numbers, always totals and averages. In total alignment, we don't allow that. We don't like that, because averages hide. So, all the numbers come from the source. So a total alignment is individual scorecard that tracks accountability at the source. In balanced scorecard are consolidated numbers for scorecard for the business. That's one difference. Another difference, in balanced scorecard, no eye rollers. They don't have any roles. In total alignment, we have these roles because then it connects the organization into different areas collaborating, horizontally and vertically. In balanced scorecard, there is no cultural module. It's not about culture. In total alignment, it's all about culture and culture change. So there are muchas diferencias entre los dos. So let's say that you are able to define individual scorecards for all the people in the organization, all the way from the CEO to the frontline supervisor. Okay? Now, in order to maintain alignment over time, we have introduced a new management model, a new way of managing that's different than the way it's done now. You're all students, so you're not working, right? Are you working? Any of you working? Yeah? You're working? Okay. So in your work, once a year you do performance appraisal, right? Or twice a year? Which one? Once or twice? Once a year you do performance appraisal. That means you sit with your boss and you review and then he evaluates you. Correct? All right. We don't like that. Total alignment, you don't like it. No me gusta. ¿Por qué? When you go to sit with your boss, are you nervous? 1 week before, are you really on good behavior? Trying to be nice to your boss? So you get good evaluation? Does your boss remember what you did 6 months ago, 9 months ago? Not really. And then if you have a good boss, you get good appraisal. And your friend has a boss that's not so very good, you get, so it's not consistent evaluation. When you talk to your boss, it's all evaluation of what you did. And then maybe a raise that you did. In total alignment, we've taken that and we replace it with something better. And what is that? We call it vertical conversations. Boss with direct report once a month. The purpose here is not evaluation. The purpose is coaching to help you to improve in your scoring, to help you develop your competence, to help you to accompany you in your work. So the purpose is to get help from your boss to succeed in your scorecard. So that's one. So we replace the performance appraisal with the vertical conversation. Then there's another practice that's happening right now in companies that you work that we also change. And what is that? And that is meetings, reuniones. Hay demasiadas reuniones. Right? Too many meetings. People go in meeting and you ask them, why are you here? And they say, because my boss said I should come here. Right? See? It's not a waste of time going to all of these meetings. So we want to eliminate the meetings and replace it with something better. And what is that? Well, let me take you to a meeting that happens that once a month, CEO with the people reporting to him. Once a month, each person gets up and presents what happened in the past. Each person reporting to a director general. The sales director comes and gives slide presentation of their sales, slide after slide of what happened last month. Yeah? And then he sits down, and then the director of operation gets up and talks about what happened in the plant operations last month, and so on. Usually it takes about 4 hours or maybe longer to go through all of these conversations. When the first person is presenting, what's the next person thinking? What do you think? Commercial director is presenting on slide after slide after slide. Now the director of operation, what is he thinking in his mind? About his own presentation that's happening next. Yeah? Probably in his mind he's arranging the slides. His eyes are over there, but his mind is somewhere else. And then, when the director of commercials finishes his presentation and sits down, what is he thinking? Thank God I'm done this month, until next month. Now, is this meeting oriented towards the past or towards the future? Towards the past, because they're talking about what happened last month. So we say this meeting is not effective. Let's take it out and replace it with a meeting that we call upward focused teams, team review. And this is a meeting that should be focused not on each individual person's performance, but on the scorecard of the team leader. So let's all talk about the Director General's scorecard, the 5 numbers, and see how can we make them better. Which one achieved its goal, and what can we do to repeat it? Which one was below, and what is the strategy, the solution, an action plan to make it better together? This is much more unified. It's teamwork. It's future-oriented. It takes less time. More effective. Then the same thing happens at the next level. The director of commercial with his team, they talk about the scorecard of the director, not the scorecard of each individual. It's upward focus, not downward focus. So we have replaced the existing meetings to upward focused teams, and we have replaced the performance reviews with vertical conversations. And the combination of these two processes will help the alignment to be maintained over time, and for better results in the company, more help in order to become successful that you get from your team or you get from your boss. So let me summarize for you. So total alignment is a process of establishing a unified vision in the organization, measuring it, developing a creative strategy, measuring that, and then assigning accountability to people through scorecards, and introducing a management model that once a month there is a team review, upward focus, and vertical review, one-on-one in the organization. The combination of that produces a whole new culture in the organization that is more aligned, more effective, and then your car will be more aligned. It will not wear out as fast as it does now. So, what do you think? What are some questions that you have? Preguntas. ¿Sí?
¿Cómo motivar a la gente para que se logren esos objetivos estratégicos a pesar del cambio de enfoque de cómo se debe analizar la información de los resultados pasados? ¿Qué debe hacerse para motivar a la gente para que realmente se comprometa con esos objetivos?
Okay, let me see if I understood. You said, how do you motivate the people in order to work on their objectives? Yeah. You motivate them by involving them in the process. Involving them in understanding the vision, that's the first step. So there's unity. And then involving them in defining their scorecards. So if they know how they can contribute, to the vision and strategy of the organization, then they'll be more motivated. So the total alignment tool, in fact, is a tool that the CEO can use in order to motivate people to move in that direction. Any other questions? So I want to say a few more words about the book, and then I'll finish. Sobre el libro. This book, the book, Total Alignment, that you will find out there, it's a book that I've written con mi esposa. No esposa. And we've written it in a story format, so it's easy to read, and it's a story of people in the organization and how they go through the process of total alignment. And we've tried to introduce a little bit of interesting drama in it that you will find. And the best chapter is the last chapter, because it also talks about aligning the vision of the organization with the needs of humanity, so that an organization is not working just to make money, but working to add value to the people, to society. And so I hope that you will enjoy reading the book, and the purpose was to write it so that you wouldn't want to stop until you finish. I hope you get to that. Thank you very much.
Agradecemos la participación del doctor Riaz Khadem. Bueno, así damos cierre a la conferencia Alineación Total. Doctor Riaz Khadem, la Pontificia Universidad Javeriana agradece su participación en estos espacios académicos. Le recordamos entonces adquirir el libro Alineación Total del doctor Riaz Khadem y la doctora Linda Khadem a la salida de este auditorio. Podrán compartir y hacer firmar el libro por el autor. Agradecemos la asistencia de todos ustedes. Están cordialmente invitados a un café a la salida del auditorio. Muy buenas tardes.